What if everything you saw at the end of the second part of Cobra Kai didn't actually happen? What if the scenes that left fans breathless, the chaos between the dojos, the deadly confrontations, and even Quan's supposed death, were merely an illusion, an echo of Daniel LaRusso's disturbed mind? A new theory has been gaining traction among fans, raising the possibility that the climax of the series is much more than a physical confrontation. It might be a dive into LaRusso's psychological depths. Daniel LaRusso's tranquility is shattered by a revelation he could never have imagined. The legendary Mr. Miyagi, the man who always embodied wisdom, kindness, and peace, had once strayed far from those ideals. During his participation in the prestigious Sekai Taikai tournament, Miyagi not only fought to win, he took an opponent's life. Discovery is not just a shock, but a complete upheaval of what he believed to be the essence of karate. The man who taught him to seek balance and harmony now carried a stain in his history, something LaRusso could never have foreseen. The revelation has a devastating impact. LaRusso finds himself in an overwhelming internal conflict. How to reconcile the image of an almost perfect mentor with this new truth. This emotional turmoil begins to manifest in disturbing ways. LaRusso starts having unsettling nightmares, including one where he is in the middle of a tournament being brutally beaten by Miyagi himself. This dream, laden with symbolism, reflects LaRusso's despair and confusion as he tries to process the duality of his mentor, the master who preached peace but also knew destruction. This is the moment when LaRusso's mind begins to falter, opening the door to a possible disconnect between reality and imagination. It raises the question, what was real in that series climax? Could what we saw have been the result of an emotionally fragile LaRusso attempting to cope with a past that, until then, seemed untouchable? With LaRusso on the verge of an emotional breakdown, the illusion theory starts to take shape. The line between what truly happened and what was distorted by his mind becomes blurred, especially during the chaotic events that mark the climax of Cobra Kai's second part. The theory unfolds into three intriguing possibilities. Hypothesis 1. It was all an illusion. From the return of Cobra Kai, to the tournament, to the deadly confrontation between the dojos, nothing actually happened. The entire narrative was the product of LaRusso's worn-out mind, a projection of his fears and traumas. Unable to cope with the truth about Miyagi, he may have created a scenario where his greatest fears, such as karate being used for extreme violence, materialized. In this case, everything we saw would be a metaphor for his internal struggle. Hypothesis 2. The illusion began in chaos. In this scenario, the story would be partially true. The events up to the widespread fight between the dojos might have occurred, but LaRusso's mind started to falter at the peak of tension. The moment Quan picked up Kreese's dagger could have been the trigger for LaRusso to project an imminent tragedy, stemming from his subconscious fear that the cycle of violence from Miyagi's past would repeat itself. Hypothesis 3. Reality was amplified by LaRusso's mind. Perhaps everything truly happened, but the events were intensified by LaRusso's emotional perspective. The fight between the dojos and even Kreese's attempt to kill Silver could have been real, but upon seeing Quan with the dagger, LaRusso was consumed by the trauma of Miyagi's revelation, imagining the worst and exaggerating the situation's gravity in his mind. Each of these hypotheses presents fascinating nuances about how LaRusso's mind may have distorted the events. Leaked information and images about the third part of the series reveal something surprising. Quan, who apparently died in the climax, is alive and participating in the tournament. If he truly had died during the final events, it would be unlikely for the narrative to proceed without devastating repercussions, such as the tournament being canceled or even global movements against karate. After a tragedy like a teenager's death being broadcast worldwide, it would be natural for Sekai Taikai to be suspended or banned. However, the information suggests that the tournament not only continues but takes place in another country. This doesn't align with the severity of what supposedly happened, suggesting that the outcome may not have been as extreme as it seemed. 1. What might disprove the theory? At the climax, we see important characters like Mrs. LaRusso and other students watching the events on television. The presence of several external witnesses seems to validate what happened, indicating that it wasn't just LaRusso's isolated vision. Despite the emotional depth of the narrative, Cobra Kai has always maintained a more straightforward and practical tone in its resolutions. Introducing a purely illusory element would be a bold departure, which may distance the theory from what would typically be expected in the series. Although the vision of Quan with the dagger is central to the theory, it's also plausible that LaRusso correctly interpreted the situation. Tensions were already high, and the moment might have genuinely been as intense as it seemed, without needing an illusion to explain it. 2. These clues and contradictions create a fascinating game of possibilities. If everything was an illusion, the narrative gains an unprecedented psychological layer. If not, LaRusso may be dealing with a more tangible outcome, yet still marked by his insecurities and traumas. If the illusion is confirmed, the series' future could take unexpected turns. The story would shift focus to LaRusso's emotional growth and how he reconciles his idealistic view of karate with harsh reality. On the other hand, if the events were real, the weight of the consequences would still reinforce the same theme. Karate, when misused, can lead to destruction, but it can also be a tool for healing and rebuilding. The illusion theory in Cobra Kai is not just a creative hypothesis. It's a powerful reflection on Daniel LaRusso's internal struggle and the challenges he faces as he tries to balance strength and morality. If true, it transforms the series' climax into something much deeper, showing how traumas and revelations can distort reality. Conversely, even if the events were real, the emotional impact on LaRusso and the series' universe remains. The revelation about Mr. Miyagi and the potential unfolding of events at the tournament lead to a crucial point: the need to revisit the role of karate, not as a weapon of violence, but as a philosophy of overcoming and balance. What makes this theory even more special is how it brings the audience closer to LaRusso's emotional experience. It makes us question what we see, feel, and how we deal with our own truths, just as LaRusso is forced to do. Whether it's an illusion or reality, the idea leaves a fascinating legacy. Cobra Kai is not just about rivalries or tournaments, but about the journey of growth and redemption of its characters. And that's what makes the series so remarkable. Quan is one of the most underrated characters in Cobra Kai, with enormous potential that hasn't been fully explored. He represents a blend of antagonist and victim, shaped by toxic senseis like Kreese and Silver, who exploit his obsession with winning at all costs. Despite his extreme competitiveness, Quan has moments that show humanity and complexity, making him more than a traditional villain. He is an interesting counterpoint to protagonists like Miguel and Robbie. Additionally, his dynamic with Axel had the potential to create more intriguing rivalries or partnerships. Quan could have been developed as a physical and emotional threat, challenging not only the heroes but also karate's very values. If he truly returns, the series will have the chance to explore his human side and even work on a possible redemption, transforming him into a character as impactful as the protagonists. Now, the final question: what do you believe? Was it all a dream, an illusion, or did the chaos really happen? Don't forget to leave your like. It helps a lot in bringing more amazing content like this. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any news about movies, series, and crazy theories we love to discuss.